Thank you for tuning into the Model Connection podcast. I am your host, Eric Harrell. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media and everywhere you get your podcast. Links are in the description. With us today is a very special guest.
Hi guys, this is Paige Victoria. I am a professional model out of Nashville, and today I am on the Model Connection podcast. I'm super excited to be here, so ready to get started.
Okay. Paige Victoria from Nashville, Tennessee, professional model. Welcome to the Model Connection podcast. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad to have you here. So let's get started. Tell me what got you interested in modeling.
Um, it actually just started off as I got out of a really bad relationship, and he kind of like kept me away from Instagram and just taking pictures of myself and just sometimes when you take pictures of yourself it makes you feel good. And
Yes.
so I think he just kind of like beat on my self-esteem, and he made a comment one time and it was like, you're never going to make money off of that. You're never going to make money off the Instagram. You're never going to make money off of taking pictures of yourself. Why do
I'll
you even
show
do it?
you. I'll do this. I'll make a fortune, okay?
Yeah. So, after I got out of that toxic stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna prove him wrong. I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. And because at that point too, I was going through a really hard time, so I was just like cutting off everybody.
hmm
But yeah, I kind of went into it and was like, I'm just gonna take this head on, and here I am. So I've made a lot of new friends, a lot of new connections. I'm so glad that I did. It's not just about modeling and making money. It's really been about connections. That's a huge thing for me,
Okay,
too.
great. Great.
Yeah.
What did you do before modeling?
Good question. So I was in the corporate world. I
Okay.
absolutely hated it. I was in information technology. I was doing project management. It was consuming my life. Um, it was, probably like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every
All right.
day.
Okay.
I also have a son. I have a 12-year-old son, and so that was taking away everything. I wasn't getting home until way late. And then I was going to the gym right after work, and so I probably wouldn't even be home until 9. By that time, he's basically in bed.
Right,
So,
right. No
yeah,
family time.
right. I just had no time for anything. I had no time for friends. I had no time for anything. And so after COVID happened and all of that stuff, I kind of decided that I was going to take a break from that because I had already had this money saved
hmm
too. And so I did, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try some of this
hmm
modeling and taking pictures.
hmm
And at that point, I wasn't even thinking, oh, I'm going to make money from it. I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to meet people that I could make money from eventually. And so, I don't know, I kind of just threw myself full force into it, and I started that I did do like a music video for my friend in September,
Okay.
and I got paid for that. And
Okay.
then I did like a modeling event in December of 2021. And then I kind of just started doing it like full time basically from there. I take it pretty seriously now when I'm doing it.
Right. You've pretty well got to go at it full force, full steam ahead if you're going to do it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. There
So that's
was
okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. There was just a thing that I read too, Marilyn Monroe and like Pamela Anderson, and they never really said no. And so even if it was like a really small project, it's just a little bit of exposure. You may connect with someone there. You never know what's going to happen from it. And
Right.
so
Right.
I basically just started saying yes to every photo shoot as long as it wasn't costing me anything. I would never That's the thing too, is a lot of models are paying for their stuff. And I've kind of refused to do that.
Okay.
But, that comes with the territory, I think, too, is if they're not willing to pay you, then will they do it for free? Can you get some sort of like connection? And honestly, too, if they're paying for your photos to be taken, make sure you're getting those photos back. There's been times too where you run into situations and you're taking pictures, and like even if it's a little bit of exposure, those photographers aren't giving you those pictures back either. So it's kind of like you kind of have to use your gut feeling when it comes to that.
Being a photographer for 20 years, I'm a little on the opposite side of the fence there. I've got no problem paying a model, but I'm not going to do her work for her.
Sure.
Meaning that model should know and better know how to pose herself in the way that she looks her best on film, okay?
Sure.
Um, there are models out there that think right when I get started, I'm going to start charging.
Mhm.
It's not that way, okay? You've got to learn your craft first,
Sure.
and then you've got to earn somebody's respect enough that they are willing to pay you for your professionalism. That's key right there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree there is, I mean, cuz photographers they have to make money too.
Somehow, some way, yes.
I agree. And you guys have a special craft to it. You guys have this equipment and you guys are carrying around this heavy equipment and you're doing all the lighting and it's your guys' work is super important to us as well. And I'm not saying like, don't pay for it. What I'm saying is that like in order to build, in order to get to a situation to where you're being asked where they're gonna
Hmm.
willing to pay you,
Right,
you have to say no to certain photographers or certain situations,
right.
especially if they're like, hey, let's shoot in the bathtub or do a shower scene where
Hmm.
you're getting wet and you're basically naked.
Right.
And so it's like for me, okay, am I gonna get paid for that?
Hmm.
Or like what's happening with this content. I want to know what the benefit is for me too, you know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
think that and we both should have a benefit. Photographers should have the benefit
Right,
too,
right.
but I think that some don't really think about it that way. So
True,
I
true.
it is kind of like a double-edged sword and
Hmm.
I don't want to say like say no unless you're getting paid. I've not always been paid, but for me, I have to make sure that I'm getting something out of it too. And I think
Get quality
that's
images,
fair. Yeah.
quality images, and also the opportunity to network.
Yeah.
You hope this shoot will lead you to another shoot.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. So that's something I wanted to talk about too when I come on here. I get asked by a lot of girls when I'm out and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" And they see, I have some followers,
Hmm.
and they're always like, "Well, how did you do it? How did you do it?" And I'm like, when I go to these modeling events and I take pictures, sometimes I'm not taking pictures all day. I'll take a good like 6 outfits and then I am networking in between those shoots
Right.
because
Hmm.
not all the models are shooting at the same time. A lot of them are just waiting around. And you want to take the opportunity to network with them, take pictures with them on your phone, like post to Instagram, do stories with them
Hmm.
because that's going to get you connections. That's going to get you more followers. Their followers are going to look at your stuff too. And so it also comes down to like, yeah, networking is huge in the modeling world. You can't just take pictures and post them. That's not how it works.
Right. And of course, you network, post images on all forms of social media.
Yeah.
How has social media helped you?
Um that's a good question. Social media has exposed me to a lot of good and a lot of bad. There are people that I have met through social media that I love working with them and
Hmm.
they've definitely helped me grow. Certain photographers like Andreas, the one that I've been posting with recently, and like other models, but I also think there's some negative to it too. I get a lot of hate, like when you're modeling, people think you're full of yourself and I get a lot of hate. I've had people tell me they want to kill me. I've had
No.
people tell me they want to stab my dog, and I don't even have a dog. So,
They don't even know you, and they're
so
already hating
they
on you.
obviously don't know me. I've had people tell me that I'm too muscular. And so for some people that aren't mentally secure, it really gets to them. It makes people depressed, and it did me for a little bit, but I just had to realize that even the hate that you get, it's some sort of exposure.
Okay.
They're taking their time out of their day
Well, yes,
to
yes.
comment on your stuff, and that's going to help with your algorithm. So if they're commenting on your stuff like on social media, and Instagram has a certain algorithm, your stuff is going to start popping up more on their feed. They're going to comment more. The people that they follow, or the people that follow them,
Hmm.
they're going to see your stuff too. And so it kind of comes down to like, even hate is good exposure. And every
Okay.
model I've ran into has said the same thing too. Like, people are going to talk about you more if they dislike you than people that like you, is what I've noticed.
Wow. Okay.
And so I think that I take advantage of that. And so every time someone comments something mean or they send me some mad message, there's been times where I'm just like, well, peace and love. And some of them will be like, oh, well, you're nice. Like, what? Some of them are like, oh, I'm sorry. And some of them, I'm just like, you know what? Your hate is still like bringing me in exposure. So thanks. I really just try not to let it get to me, but I also don't try to respond to it in a negative way, like kind of like trying to dig at them in return, because too, when you're negative on social media, even if it's people who are being negative to you, it's not seen as a good thing. So I try to be positive in every single way that I can be.
I've heard that basically from every model that's ever been on here. I mean, you are preaching to the choir, okay?
Yeah.
And it's a very common thing. You have been modeling how long now?
So I guess you would say, I mean, officially, I've been doing modeling events since December. So seven
December, so
months.
7 months.
Yeah.
You've got such a large, huge following on Instagram in only 7 months, and that's
Yeah.
only from basic, basically networking.
Networking. Yeah. Photographers. But like, you also need to work it. You need to
Yes, you
hustle,
do. Yeah.
okay? It's not just let me go take some pictures and then I'm going to sit on my butt and I'm going to go to my room at the end of the night. No. You stay up, you talk to people, no matter if you want to do it or not. You try to be friendly with everybody. And two, there's a lot of situations where people are like, well, how do you get along with all the models? Do you get along with all the models all the time? And I feel like I do. I've never gotten into anything when like negative when it's come
Hmm.
down to other
Hmm.
models. But also you need to be really friendly and like put a smile on your face and fake it till you make it, as the saying says.
And one thing that I will give you absolutely 100% credit in doing, your profile, your all of your social media pages are filled with images that are taken by photographers. Very few, if any, selfies.
Right. And that's, selfies are good. Selfies are cool sometimes. But if you're trying to, what I see on my social media, or what I try to use my social media as, is a profile, or like, back in the day when you were a model, you would carry around this catalog of all your pictures
Right,
and all the different photographers and all the work you've basically done.
right. I've
Instagram
still
is,
got mine.
yeah, Instagram is basically that now. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, if people want to see what you look like before they want to work with you, they're probably going to be like, well, what's your social media, or what's your Instagram? It doesn't matter what it is. They want to see what kind of work you put in.
Hmm.
And now, in today's day, it's 2022, everything is digital, everything is
Right,
technology. So
right.
we're not carrying around a catalog of our pictures anymore. Instagram is that.
Carrying around your cell phone right
Yeah.
now.
Right. And so, I mean, that's your catalog. And so I
Right.
try not to, I've actually started to do a little bit more selfies now on my Instagram,
Oh no.
but no, it's not all selfies.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I've just done a little bit, but it's not where like I don't ever do mirror selfies. And I'm
Okay.
not hating against those, because I've seen girls with millions and millions of followers that do it.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I try, when I think about it when I'm posting, is that like, this is my catalog. Okay?
Yeah.
This is what photographers are seeing. And so if they want to work with me, they want to see my actual modeling pictures.
Yes. Yes. With all of the different genres in modeling, what genre do you feel your modeling falls into?
Definitely bikini.
Okay.
Definitely a swimsuit model. And then I would do probably, um let's see, like, like a fit model too. Like I just noticed too when I'm like when I am posing, I've had photographers be like, "You're like flexing your legs really hard. Like, are you doing that? I've never seen models do that. Like, is there a reason you're doing that?" And I'm like, I
Fitness
think it's
model.
just like, yeah, fitness. And so it was kind of like I was stuck on the end of my tongue there. But yeah, because I'm really big into fitness. I always have been. I've been weightlifting for 10 years now. So
Oh, wow.
that's probably like that would be a bigger area for me than just bikini as well. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I would say fitness and bikini. You never see like on my Instagram lingerie.
Right.
Um, it's not because I haven't done it. I have done lingerie and I have posted that before. But for me, how Instagram is, it's very sexual. And Instagram is so easy to delete all your stuff.
Hmm.
And for me, you put in work. So I don't want my stuff to be deleted. I want it to look like it's supposed to be there. And so even when I am posting in bikinis, I'm outside because I try to make it make sense, you know?
Yes.
And so I don't know. I just get really scared when it comes down to social media too, because everything you could put so much work in and have all these followers and it can be deleted like that. And it's happened to me
Recently.
very recently.
Very.
Yes.
Um, Also, I feel that you should concentrate on the areas of modeling that you feel most comfortable with. Okay.
Yes.
If you are not comfortable doing a genre, don't even attempt to even get started doing that. Or if somebody asks you, hey, would you mind doing this? Automatically say, no, I'm not interested. Sorry, this is my genre right here. This is what I am comfortable in doing. Let's please stick to what we discussed and
Yeah,
everything will be cool. Okay.
I agree in some sense. I also agree that in the modeling world, you're not always really meant to be comfortable. And I'm not saying,
Wow.
bend over and show your
Right,
asshole or
right,
something
right.
like that.
Exactly right, right.
I'm
Yes.
saying like, try out different poses where you think you may not be like, "Oh, this is not my angle." But other people might be like, "This is the best picture ever." I've had so many pictures where I'm like, "Ugh, I don't like this picture." And then a photographer will post it and it gets like 2,000 likes and I'm like, "What is going on? I don't like that picture." I
Doesn't that
almost
bl-
told them to delete it.
doesn't that blow your mind that an image we like you hate,
Yeah,
vice versa?
it happens a lot. And so that's why too I've just started on Instagram is that I cuz I'm trying to like understand Instagram at the same time it changes
Mm-hmm.
and and all the other websites or whatever we're using nowadays. But I'm posting multiple pictures. I try to
Yes.
post multiple pictures every
Yes.
single time
Mm-hmm.
I post because I'm like,
Right.
this could be my picture that I really love, but then there's probably another picture that somebody else might love, or there's another picture. Everybody's gonna like probably a different picture of
Mm-hmm.
you. So, like, I posted a 4th of July set, and
Recently, yes.
yeah,
Yes.
very recently.
Uh-huh.
4th of July was
Right.
4 days ago.
Right. Yes.
And so when I posted that, I posted the first one that I liked was obviously the first photo that I
Right.
posted.
Right.
Well, my friend, she's got like 50,000 followers and she shared one of like the third photo in that series that I had
Yes.
posted. So obviously she thought that photo was the best one out of like the other ones that I posted,
Right.
which is okay, but yeah, I mean, you're not always going to like what you are saying. So that's what I mean by like you're not always meant to be comfortable. I think too you kind of do have to hop around in genres. When I first started modeling, I it was basically lingerie. I never really did bikini.
Okay.
And then I got a lot more comfortable in bikini when I started posting because to me it wasn't like as sexual, it was kind of safer, but that's just for me. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
see people post in lingerie all the time. It's totally normal.
Sure. Yes.
But yeah, so I think that sometimes you kind of need to be uncomfortable in order to grow.
Hmm.
Because if so, then I would have stayed in lingerie and I wouldn't have gone to bikini. And I'm doing, I think, hella good in bikini versus what I would have done in lingerie.
I cannot argue that point. Yes, even though you show more skin in bikini than lingerie, is that a safe statement?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I mean, well, not always. I think, with lingerie, it's like see through and, it's like cut out in
Lacy
certain
stuff.
areas and it's lacy. And I don't know. I mean, it's not that I'm against it. It's just, For me, what I also think about is that I could be posting that to OnlyFans because they're going to sexualize you in lingerie versus probably a little bit more than you in a bikini, even though your
Hmm.
bikini is probably very small. That's something you could see on the beach, you
Right.
could see me out in. I'm not just going to be
It's
out
certain
walking
beaches,
around.
yes.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
Yes. Okay, now, as a bikini model, what is the criteria that you use yourself to decide whether you want to shoot, work with a photographer?
Yeah. Well, I always do research on my photographers. I always
Okay.
ask questions. I always ask, hey, do you have a couple of referrals, like girls I could talk to?
Hmm.
I always do that, so I've never had a bad experience with a photographer so far.
Hmm.
But I am someone who's a little weary. Also, I'm very picky about my photographers. I don't work with people when I don't like their editing, or there's just certain things that I'm like, no, I don't think I'd work well with them. And it's not because their work is not good, it's just something that I don't like.
Right.
So I don't think it could be something that would apply to me. But yeah, I always, when it comes down to looking at people's work, you look at their Instagram, you look at other girls that they've
Right.
worked with. So I think it comes down to just doing your
Prior work.
research. Yeah.
Prior work.
Like, those photographers that are working with you, they're going to look at your stuff too. So I think it makes sense.
If your style doesn't match theirs, chances are they're not going to change their style just to suit you.
True. Some of them might. Some of them might
Possible.
if they have, if some of them might. I just think, test the limits. Why not ask? If you really want to work with that photographer and you want to see if, hey, they'll work in a different style, then just ask. And some of them will. So I think it just comes down to asking questions, doing your research, looking at the work that he's done or she's done with other girls. A lot of photographers are guys, but I've had girl photographers too,
Right. Right.
like Yasmin. She's amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm never go into something where I'm like, well, this is what's happening, so this like maybe they're not gonna do what I want, and sometimes they won't, but it never hurts to ask. So
I know now that I need to step up my game before I ask you to work with me. Then I've got a project in mind that I'm working on in the back of my head that I'm just not quite ready to actually pull the cord on yet. But I am looking for a model that will do a car photograph,
oh, okay, yeah,
car model. Okay,
and I've done that, and those are actually like those are some of my favorite because I'm more of a sporty girl, and so yeah, those are some of my favorites. Though I don't have any of them posted, but I did one. I think it was in like February of this year. But I like those kind of shoots. Those are more like Instagram worthy too. Because when I
yeah,
think about it, is
right,
like I always think about this too. If I'm taking a picture, what is it for?
right.
What am I doing this for?
What are you doing it for? What is the photographer's reasoning for doing it?
Mm-hmm. Or yeah, what do they want it for? What am I going to use it for? Am I going to use it for Instagram or am I going to keep this to myself? I'm going to send this to my boyfriend or my girlfriend. Doesn't
Right,
matter what it
right,
is. Am I post it to OnlyFans?
right.
You got to have all of that because it's like, what's the point of doing it if you don't know what you're going to use it for?
What is your goal for Paige Victoria modeling in the next year?
Yeah, I want to be published. I want to be published in Playboy. I do love Playboy.
Ah,
Yeah, I've been trying. I've been talking about this with a certain photographer. It's a little difficult because it's more nowadays you pay to be published. So I don't know if you knew that or if anybody really knows that anymore, but when people are published to Playboy, they're paying for it.
they
Um,
are.
they're paying like 8K.
Whoa.
So it's a big deal. And so it kind of knocks out people who are wanting to do it like, originally.
Yes,
And
yes.
so, I've been talking to a photographer about it, and he was like, it's really hard because even if you do get approved, they like your images and stuff, and someone comes in and they're like, "Oh, I'll give you 8K to be published," like on the cover or, in the centerfold, then they're going to take that over someone who's like just been approved.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a tricky situation. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but
I've heard rumors. I've not heard anyone definitely come out and say what you just had.
yeah, maybe that should be cut out.
No, no, no. Hey, I would rather you be truthful and just give
Yeah, that's
uh,
honest.
speculations. Okay.
No, that's honest. I've even had numbers presented in front of me. I mean, it's different for like Sweden or Australia or any country. It's different. I think Australia is like one of the most expensive ones.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy out there.
I recently interviewed a guest that was in Playboy. I think it was the South Africa
Hmm.
edition, but that was never mentioned.
Well, they're not going to mention
Well,
that.
okay, okay, okay.
I mean, come on, let's get real.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay.
The main thing behind it is you get published, and that's a dream. That's probably any model's dream. That's the whole reason we do it is to be published. So
I still have connections with probably three magazines. So if you're interested, talk to me after the episode, okay?
yeah, I mean, I don't just want to be published in Playboy, but
Right.
Playboy is obviously like
Playboy's
that's
everybody's
big.
goal right there, okay?
Yeah, that's big.
Playboy or Maxim or
And even if I am paying for it, or these girls are paying for it, it not only are you published, I mean, you're going to get so many deals and
yes, you
connections
are.
out of that. You're going to
Yes,
have
you
other
are.
photographers that are really hard to work with. They don't just work with anybody. They're going to want to work with you.
Yes.
They're not going to charge you an arm and a leg to work with them. And so it's more than just being published.
Right.
It's the stuff that comes with.
Thank you for tuning in to the Model Connection podcast. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Okay, Paige, let's take a look at your images. And if you can, please mention the photographer so that any model that is watching this episode that may want to reach out to them
Sure.
so they can work with
Okay.
them, will know who we're actually talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
happy to.
Okay.
So this first image is actually, so that was taken by my friend, and though it does look professional, I think it just comes down with the practice of posing, which you should be doing any day. Anytime you're taking pictures with your friends, I think, you can get a really good picture out of just your iPhone if you know how to pose as well. So that image that was from my friend, so that's just an iPhone picture, but I mean, you can tell with the posing that I'm doing is what I'm doing is I'm putting one leg in front of my other and I'm like pushing my butt out, so my hips look larger and I look like I have a tinier waist.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm bringing my shoulders back, good posture, and I'm using that sunlight to my advantage. So, yeah, that one's really recent. That's from 4th of July, obviously. Very patriotic.
Okay. And the photographer was a friend of yours.
Yeah, his name is Matt, so he's a good one.
Okay.
This is my favorite photographer ever. His name is Wanadu
Want to do?
on Instagram,
Wow. Okay.
but his real name is Andreas.
Okay.
He just jumps around all over. This was taken on my most recent Tulum trip. This was done, gosh, when did I get back? It was just like 3 weeks ago. So yeah, that's the only image I've gotten back so far. That's one of my favorite ones to date. So you can tell, like, with we were really working that wind and the sunlight. But yeah, so again, I'm doing the whole where I'm kind of like pushing my stomach out, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
making my waist look
Mm-hmm.
smaller, my
Yes.
hips look bigger, and I'm bringing that arch back. And so, yeah, and flexing my abs, or trying to at
Okay.
least.
Now, real quick, next time you work with him,
Hmm.
tell him you want one thing done. Okay.
Yeah,
I want to see your right hand.
my right hand.
Yes.
You'll see my right hand, I'm sure, in these next images.
On your right hand, I'm only seeing knuckles back. Okay.
Hmm.
Come down somewhat on the tops so I can see your right hand.
He's probably doing that for a reason because if you can't tell, my spray tan is kind of like a little funky on there.
Well, yeah.
And so it's
Yeah.
probably like my hand probably
That's a
looks
farmer's tan right there, don't you?
my spray tan is probably completely off my hand and it's very pale. And
Okay.
so, but you know what? It goes back to like, I don't need to be perfect and
Right.
I'm totally fine with that. And literally, the caption of this picture on my Instagram is a perfect girl is not real and a real girl is not perfect. And so that's the reality of the
How
situation.
perfect caption.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
This is Busy Bee, his name on Instagram. And so he goes by CJ too. And so this is actually this is like literally one of my first modeling pictures. So you can kind of tell I'm a little tense. I'm doing like the classic like get the side of my face. I'm flexing my leg muscles
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that's like that's that's my golden egg right there on my legs.
Okay. Okay.
Find something that works really well for you, like, you know, if you've got good abs or you got good legs or anything like that or good arms, like work work it out. Yeah, this is one of my first images. This is actually my most liked picture on Instagram. The orange is doing me some justice, but yeah, I had just started here.
Okay. Great image.
This is another one by Andreas, so Wanna Do. Um,
This one
he,
I like, Nilla.
he's done all of my photos, all the ones that I like. And I'm not saying other photographers haven't done great work, they have. But
Okay.
but with him I just always get my pictures back so quick, and the editing just seems more natural, and yeah, it works well for me. But yeah, I was in really great shape, I mean. And so this is from my trip in March to Tulum, and I was with Bayou Babes. And yeah, again, I'm like, you know, I'm pushing my butt out and I'm just trying to like flex my abs,
Mm-hmm.
and so you see a lot of these pictures too where my mouth is kind of open, and in my first modeling picture that we were just on, you know, my mouth was closed. And so what
Yes.
that does, it helps relax your jaw and like it just makes it look more softer and natural too. I've seen like a lot of newer models, they kind of keep their mouth closed. And I used to do that, but you know, when I'm asking about tips and stuff to these other models, they're like, just relax your mouth. Like even if your mouth is open just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
like it
Right.
looks more natural.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And the next image?
Again, my mouth is open. So this is
Just a little bit.
by
Just
Justin. He's a very good photographer. And so, you know, they love to cover you in that body oil, these
oh yes.
photographers.
Oh yes.
They really do.
Get that
Um,
shine going.
yeah, and it kind of insinuates your muscles really well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I always try to do something creative with my hands instead of just like putting them in my hair or on my side or, you know, like by my mouth, those classic poses. But this photo came out really good. This is actually some of my most liked pictures too on Instagram. But um yeah, again, I'm just really like I'm working out my hips.
Yeah.
So and after all this, you know, I walk away from these photo shoots and I'm so sore and I'm like
Yes.
getting on the plane to go home because a lot of these are like not they're not in Nashville. That's where I'm
Right.
from.
Exactly right. Yes.
And so I'm getting on the airplane and I'm like, oh, my back is hurting so bad, or like my neck, or anything like that. So,
Every muscle in my body hurts.
yeah, so it's work. It's more than just, you know, looking good. It's a whole bunch of work.
You've got some awesome images in just the short time you have been modeling. You should be proud of yourself, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What has modeling taught you about yourself that you did not already know?
That I'm a boss bitch.
Really? Really?
Honestly, I was so like my self-esteem was just kind of low. It was really low, and like I would never take pictures of myself. And yeah, I had Instagram before all this, but I had 3 pictures on Instagram for probably like 3 years. I never posted. I was just never like confident,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so this has brought out, I've gotten so many friendships from this too. Like, and girls that are in the same industry and they support the hell out of me too.
Good, good,
And
good.
I need people like that. I don't want people that are like, you know, they're just checking in on you every like year or so. Doesn't matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
these girls, they care about your well-being too, and they'll hype you up on your pictures, and they're messaging you like, "Hey, I want to take pictures with you." And
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten so much out of this last like 6 or 7 months just from modeling. It's come down to like I said, connections. I've met so many good girls and friends. I made a lot of friends. And I didn't have that either. I mean, I was in a bad relationship, and then I just kind of kept to myself for a while, and I never posted, and I just didn't feel good about myself. And now I'm like, you know, I don't care if people like me anymore. Okay? I have people who do like me, and
Of
that's
course,
all I
yeah.
really care about. And I used to be such a like people pleaser too. I would just be like, "Oh, well, I want to make this person happy,"
You
or
can't please everybody.
no. And what I've learned is that if you're liked by everybody, there is something wrong, okay? That means it's fake. It has to be fake. You are
Gotta be,
not meant
yes.
to be
Gotta be.
liked by everybody.
Gotta be.
And so I've gotten really strong friendships out of this, and I've gotten confidence, and I'm making money, and things are moving. So,
Okay, before I turn the mic over to you, I've got one more question for you. Um, do you feel any peer pressure from us photographers to be Miss Perfect this, Miss Perfect that, or peer pressure from your peers, models?
um no, I've never gotten pressured by other models to feel perfect. And when I'm at these events, it's like I feel like the girls are always like complimenting me, and I try to do that too. I mean, I think we're all just like trying to build each other up.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times where I'm like I feel pressured from photographers, but it's online. It's like stuff that I wouldn't work with them just because of the gut feeling that I get, where they
Mm-hmm.
want you to like come to come to a hotel room, and they want to shoot you in lingerie, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't really like ask for that, and if you can tell by my Instagram, that's not really my style. Nothing against it, but like, what's the point of doing this? Are you taking my photos to sell on OnlyFans, or are you trying to get something else? There are photographers that have really bad reps, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers. So that's a little scary. Um, Pressure, I think. No, I just think I've gotten really good at telling people no too. And I don't think I've gotten any pressure out of like when I'm there with a photographer where they're like trying to get me to do more or
Mm-hmm.
be a certain way. And someone made a comment too. I mean, we all have insecurities, and someone was like, "Well, if you're insecure, you're not meant to be a model." But I think that's a shitty comment to make, but and that kind of puts pressure on people to be like perfect. You know what I mean? But no, and like I said, I've only been in this for like 7 months, so
Right, right.
I've had really good situations, and like I've been to really good events, but I think my time will probably come, I'm sure. But I'm also really like I stand my ground.
Good deal. Do you put any unnecessary pressure on yourself?
Yes. Yes.
In what way?
Um well, like my first couple months of like modeling, I like when I went to Tulum, and I'm working with these girls that have, 9 million followers and 8 million followers and so forth. I'm like mentally preparing myself to be like, I need to be like perfect. And so I'm like in the gym 2 times a day. I'm spending like 4 hours a day in the gym. I'm literally eating, and it's not like the greatest,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to cut so hard where I'm like I'm so fit, and then my sleep is off, and I'm getting headaches because I'm hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I pressure myself a lot, or I used to, but this last Tulum trip, I took a break from all of that, and I hadn't worked out in a month before I went, and even though I'm not in like the greatest shape that I was like 3 months before when I was in Tulum, there's not a huge difference, and I'm also like I'm sleeping better, and I'm eating whatever I want. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like happier. I'm not so pressured by myself, but it just comes down to like whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not saying like, I was so confident though at my photo shoot when I in March when I went to Tulum, and I was in like really good shape.
Mm-hmm.
And this other trip, this last trip I was on, I wasn't like as confident, but I was like, I know I'm here to do work, so that's what I'm gonna
Right,
do.
right. Do whatever makes you happy, okay?
Yeah,
And if you're happy once a week, not going to the gym, don't go.
yeah,
If you're happy once a week going to eat Chinese, go eat Chinese, okay? It's whatever makes you happy, okay?
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
What has been the best advice anyone has ever given you?
Hmm. That anyone has ever given me.
Got her
That's
stumped
a
now.
good one. Yeah. I don't know. I think it comes down to again with the whole like,
Research.
yeah, and make sure you're comfortable. And if your gut feeling tells you like, no, don't do it. Even if you think the photographer is going to give you some sort of magic or you're going to get connections out of it, yada, 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 there's probably going to be another time.
Hmm.
So just make sure your gut feeling is there and you're comfortable too. And I mean, I know I said earlier, like, step out of your comfort zone, but I'm meaning like posing and the style that you're doing. Don't ever put yourself in a situation where you're like, I feel like if you're alone with a photographer in like a hotel room, bring someone with you. Like
Exactly right.
if you really want to shoot with them, then bring someone with you, or it doesn't matter what it is, just make sure you're safe. Your safety is definitely number one.
I am a very strong proponent of every model bringing an escort with them.
Yeah.
I don't care whether it's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your aunt, your uncle. Bring someone with you, okay?
If if it's alone, if you're doing it alone, I agree.
Yes.
If it's a model, if it's like a group shoot, I don't agree
Right. Well,
because
yes, right.
models are walking around naked and stuff. So it's like
True.
you don't know if they're going to be okay with
True.
that. But I agree if it's like alone. If you're alone, don't go alone. Never go alone.
At times, I will say this in a sarcastic way, so please understand this. It's okay to always have a packed mule with you to carry your stuff for you, okay?
Oh yeah, please. Please. I'm not trying to sweat off my makeup or any of that.
um, one final question, and I'm going to give you ample time to think of your answer for this. At the end of every podcast, I always give every guest the opportunity to talk about any subject that they feel needs to be brought up, needs to be brought to the forefront.
Sure.
A subject that may be brushed under the rug, maybe taboo if you mention it, maybe a subject that people are embarrassed to talk about, okay? People just don't know how to go about talking about it. Um, is there a topic that you have come across in a short time you have been modeling that people whisper you shouldn't be talking about that, you shouldn't be saying that? I mean, what is anything that you feel should be brought to the forefront and really discussed?
Huh. That's a good question. I think editing is a
Okay,
huge
okay,
thing.
okay,
People, they don't want to come across as in like they're not perfect. Everybody wants to look perfect. Everyone wants
okay,
to be perfect. But
okay.
sometimes I think editing is too much, and it's really scary to kind of say that to a photographer.
Over editing?
Yeah, over editing.
Okay, okay,
And I think too is that when you're taking pictures, you really need to be, that needs to be you. You want it to be you, it should be you. I'm sure if I have these pictures online and I've showed up and I'm like, that's not what they were expecting, then that's disappointing for them too. But it's not just that. For me, it's more of like, like sometimes I look a little thicker than what I am. And I've had photographers that like they cinch in my waist so much where like you can see the strings on my bikini are messed up. And I'm like, do they not notice that they're messed up? Like I can tell it's Photoshop.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm a little embarrassed or too ashamed to post it, but I don't want to not post it and the photographer I put in the work to take these pictures and edit them and then they get offended too and then they not want to work with me again or something.
Hmm.
So I think editing is a huge taboo. People don't want to talk about it. It's a sensitive subject. Like some people it's great, some people they don't like it as much. I don't like to be over edited. I always tell my photographers, don't send me photos. Like just send them to me unedited,
Hmm.
please. And that way I can look at them and I'll pick out like one and hey, if you want to edit my skin and make me look more tan, I'm all for that, okay? Cuz I am really pale. But don't like edit the shape of my body and like the things that are supposed to be there. You know what I mean? And so like I have stretch marks on my legs. And so I think that sometimes the photographers will over edit them and it looks just like a totally like it just looks like it doesn't look like a skin tone. It just looks like a blob on my skin or something. And I'm like, for me, I can tell. And so if I can tell, then I feel like other people can tell. And it's really hard to tell a photographer like, hey, I don't like your editing skills.
Well, true,
It's
true,
hard. And so then
true.
they're going to take offense to that because, that's their work. They take pride in that.
Yes, yes.
And then you're not going to want to post it. And then they're going to be like, well, why didn't you post my photo? And that's that. So I don't know. But I'm also pretty good at like saying those sort of things too. And so, like, I'll
Take
even,
them down easy, huh?
yeah, but I'll tell them before, like, hey, I'm excited to see my photos. If you could send them to me unedited, that would be great.
Yes.
And just because I like to see like how I'm actually posing, I always try to turn it around on me to where like I want to see like how I'm actually doing and not, what's happening,
Hmm.
behind the scenes or behind that computer screen.
Right,
I want to see
right.
like what I'm actually doing.
Okay, great, great.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, because I'm
Perfect
like,
sense.
I, a lot of models have said this stuff. It's like some of them get over edited images, and we have a skin tone. We have pores. Like, we have freckles. So, like, just leave it alone. Please. Like, we're not meant to be, like, completely smooth and, like, airbrushed, basically.
Right, right. Okay. Paige Victoria, you are based in Nashville.
Yes.
You classify yourself as a bikini model,
Yes.
and you are willing to travel to
Everywhere.
everywhere to shoot.
Across the world.
Across the world. Passport ready, huh?
Yes, I'm going to Italy on Monday, but I'm not going to shoot. I'm just going for vacation. I would
Have
love to see if a photographer would be there. I've been talking about that.
have suitcase and will travel, okay?
Yes.
So, photographers, I will tell you, I have spent this last hour talking with a very beautiful young lady, Paige Victoria. She is a Nashville model, personality out the roof, a beautiful young lady. You need to contact this lady while you still can. I see great things in her future. She's going to be published. I know it's just a matter of time. She has got her heart set on it, and I think that she will. In fact, I know she will. You need to reach out to her before she gets popular, okay? Because she is going to make it.
Thank you. Yes, please reach out. I'm working with everybody.
Paige, how may photographers reach out to you? What are your social media handles?
So mainly I'm on Instagram. I don't do TikTok or anything. It's Paige Paige underscore Vix VIX, and then just my Facebook is Paige Reed, but just mainly through Instagram. Yeah, that's I have like a management team too that kind of helps me with that,
Okay,
and
okay.
it just helps filter out people who are legitimate photographers and people who just have a camera.
All you all you photographers, you've heard that. If you did not write that down, please rewind this episode, replay it, write it down, contact this model. You will not regret it. I mean, I just in talking to her, this past hour. I have I have viewed her images on Instagram. I love them. You will not be disappointed. Paige Victoria, thank you for being the guest on the Model Connection podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for tuning into the Model Connection podcast. Please like, follow, and subscribe on social media and everywhere you get your podcast. Links are in the description. Thank you and bye-bye.